Shalom. Baruch haba, Koim Lee Anthony. Hello, welcome to Sarid. They call me Anthony. Thank you so much for joining us here for our weekly Torah teaching on the coming of Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach. If you have not already, please subscribe. I'd like to take a minute here to give all praise, honor, and esteem to Yahuwah Elohim and to his Ben Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach, who has come along with us on this journey. So thankful to him for all of the great wisdom and understanding he has given us here at Sarid to share with you. To the Kodashim out there, thank you so much for your comments and for your support. Welcome to part 2 of the legacy of ancient Yisra'al. So we count the Omer here, and the master has come home to the house now that was built and found it and the worship unacceptable. My, how things have changed. There's going to be a price to pay for false worship. And if you don't believe it, violence will befall you. Let's see how that plays out here now in the story. Devarim chapter 28, that's Deuteronomy. We'll begin at verse 28. We'll line up with Yochanan chapter 10, beginning in verse 29. As we survey the lines, Yahuwah will strike you with madness. My Ab who has given them to me is greater than all. Yahuwah is in the verse here, so this madness is applied to me. In the survey, who is Yahushua? There's going to be some madness in the exchange here. That word for madness is H7697. It is Shuga'on. Shuga'on is madness. It means to be mad and be very angry. To show madness and be in a state of frenzied or chaotic activity. This continues in the statement when he said, my Ab, who has given them to me, is greater than all. He got mad, said that. He's mad about dealing with unbelief of them, and tensions are heightened as he makes this statement about what Yahuwah has given him. We pick up from last week. He said Ab was greater than all. And this in turn makes them mad because of the word all. All of what they could come up with could not compare to what he just said. That's the indication here. So these are fighting words. It was madness, a state of frenzied, chaotic behavior by what he just said. It was shocking and outrageous. They couldn't understand that statement, and they couldn't stand him for making it. So, yeah, they got mad. And blindness. No one is able to snatch them out of my Ab's hand. That word for blindness is awaron, and it means to be blind figuratively or figuratively, meaning the root as it identifies with a film over the eyes of men. This is seen when he says, no one, even those unseen. No one. No one not present at that time. This is blindly reaching out for anyone that might be out there. No one is able to snatch them out of my Ab's hand. Can't see that happening. And confusion of heart. I and my Ab are one. That word for confusion, H8541, is Timahon, and it means astonishment. To astonish means to surprise or impress someone greatly, greatly of heart. The word for heart there is labab, and it's H3824. It is the inner man, the heart, mind, will, and soul, the understanding. It's there in the concordance. The verb means to ravish the heart, to encourage and make the heart beat faster. He says, I and my Ab are one. So this is getting chaotic and tensions are rising now. You got his blood pumped up. He said, I and my Ab are one. This is making them mad, blind, and confused and trying to get their mind around that statement. You know, how can that be? So they mad too. Devarim chapter 28, verse 29 will line up with Yochanan chapter 10, verse 31 and 32. You shall grope at noonday as a blind man gropes in darkness. Then the Utah took up stones again to stone him. So the word for grope there means to feel over or feel through. At noonday, Sahar, here the word for noonday, H6272, is a specific time of the day, midday. The verb means to press out, to glisten. That's what the groping or particular feeling that came upon them, to glisten, or in other words, to show their butt, start picking up stones. It was noonday. This is seen when they took up stones to stone him. That's what they were groping for, stones, trying to press him out. As a blind man gropes in the darkness. This is identifying who's doing the groping. It was the Utah, what today's New King James Version called the Jews. They are compared to a blind man seen here groping in darkness. The word for darkness is aphelah. H653 is darkness, gloominess, and calamity. It is figuratively used of wickedness, evil, and morally wrong. The time they show up, something like this come by. He was outnumbered, and they still needed to pick up stones to take it. They can't fight or see, because it says they picked up stones to stone him again. They missed him the last time at close range, blind as a bat. They had no more words, and no greater words could have been spoken. They didn't want to hear the truth anymore. And so it was written, you shall not prosper in your ways. Here Yahushua answered them. Many good works I have shown you from my Ab. The mark of the accusative is on the ways here. Yahushua is answering. The mark of the accusative is there. Et derechecha, your Aleph Tau ways. He references these ways in the witness as good works. The works left no doubt to who he was, because belief in him was needed for Chaim Olam. This is why the mark of the accusative was on the ways. Many good works I have shown you from my Ab. He even gives credit to Ab, who gives Chaim Olam. His Ab, not their pater. So it was written over in Devarim, you shall only be oppressed and plundered continually, and no one shall save you. To which he declares, for which of these works do you stone me? The word for oppressed there is asach, H6231. It means to oppress, violate, defraud, do violence, get deceitfully wronged, and extorted. The verb means to contend and quarrel. And plundered. It means seized, robbed, and taken away continually. This is seen when he said to them, for which of the works? The word from the above line of survey is indicating all of them continually, from the first one to the last one with that blind man. Not to mention, they already had stones in their hands from the line in the survey above. So they will continue to threaten to throw those stones as well. And no one shall save you. That word for save is yasha. It is saved from earthly trouble. This is why it finishes the sentence with, do you stone me? For which of those works do you stone me? He was speaking as though they had already stoned him. He was not saved. They were determined in the heart to harm him. Devarim chapter 28:30 will line up with Yochanan chapter 10, verse 33. You shall betroth the wife, but another man shall lie with her. So here the Utah answered it. This is the other man lying with the wife. They're answering for all of this. Betroth there means to enter into a formal agreement to marry. A wife, Isha, H802, opposite of man. This is someone in opposition. The verb enish is used of men collectively. So the Utah are seen here in the plural, collectively. They answered him. Who is Yahushua? Yahushua is you in the line of survey. They're answering him. They are the wife in the verse. And as I mentioned, the other man as well, because they associate with the tribe of Yehuda. Yahushua is from the tribe of Yehuda. The word there in the New King James that we see today for Jew is G2453. Eudios, it is of Hebraic origin, taking you to G2448. Yuda, to identify a place of origin. That takes you to a crossroad there, to which there is two words in the box, H3063, Yehuda, or H3194, Utah. So it gives you a crossroads here. So all of this is associating with Yehuda, all of those names, all of those different people. Yehuda is the wife, the original, the tribe, right beside that word in the box for Utah. Utah means to be stretched out, perverted, twisted, and bent. People from that town. All of those people and places are seen collectively as sleeping with Yehuda, betrothed as a wife, something they have bound themselves to. So lastly, here comes the Jews committing still another crime, this time lying in every sense of the word with another man's wife. So they're answering here for our time. So Yahuwah declares, you shall build a house, but you shall not dwell in it. So Yahushua continues to answer for a good work, or they answer and say, for a good work, we do not stone you, but for blasphemy. Yahushua built a house of good works, and they declare they did not stone him for that, but for blasphemy. The part of the good works where he gave esteem to Yahuwah. To which the word declares, but you, Yahushua, shall not dwell in it. Shall not dwell in blasphemy. G988 is slander, detraction, and speech injurious to another's good name. Impious and reproachful speech injurious to the majestic nature of Elohim. He was not abusive in relating to Yahuwah in any way. But doing those good works, he did not dwell in blasphemy. You shall plant a vineyard, but shall not gather its grapes. And because you, being a man, make yourself Elohim. So you is Yahushua. The word for plant there, natah, means to plant. It is figuratively used, meaning to plant, fasten, and establish, be established. You shall plant a vineyard. The word for vineyard is kareem. Kareem, H3754 is like the grape juice that we use for Pesach. It means a vineyard. This is a place where vines grow long. This symbolizes long life. This is seen as Elohim in the response, the one who creates long life. You shall plant a vineyard is seen in the story when they say to him, and because you, being a man, make yourself Elohim. You see the long life associated there. You make yourself Elohim. Yahushua planted this in verse 30 when he said to them, I and my Ab are one. Then it says, you shall not gather its grapes. The word for grapes there, H2490, is kalal, has three root words associated with it, and none of them reference a grape at all, including the word kalal. It's not talking about a grape. The word means to profane, defile, and pollute, to make common and dishonor. Yahushua did none of that, and this verse is confirming there was nothing wrong with his statement. He didn't gather any grapes. He did not dishonor in any way. Devarim chapter 28:31 will line up with Yochanan chapter 10, verse 34 and 36. So Yahuwah now steps in and begins to deal with this. He says, your ox shall be slaughtered before your eyes, but you shall not eat of it. So Yahushua answers here, is it not written in your law, I said, that you are Elohim? Then there's a footnote. So we see here, the ox shower is a bull. It's the head of cattle. The ox, it is used for plowing, for food, and as sacrifice. This is seen as Yahushua in this line of survey. He answered them as the ox, an animal sacrifice required for the Kohen Haggadah offering. They, on the other hand, are you in the upper line survey here, posing as Yisra'al. Your ox shall be slaughtered. Tabech means to slay ruthlessly, to butcher. Butcher, this is a person whose trade is cutting up and selling meat in a shop. The slaughtering is seen in the statement as he begins to dissect what they were saying was a valid reason to stone him. Before your eyes, the ayin, the spiritual and mental faculties, before their understanding, is seen here in this footnote. That was put here to show some spiritual enlightenment as it displays where this verse is located. It's found in Psalms 82:6. Tehillah 82 verse 6 is where it's found. He begins to dissect with the knife of understanding and says, is it not written in your law, I said, you are Elohim. He uses the scripture they professed to know, being supposedly the people of the book that were living in the land at that time, to ruthlessly make a point. He shows no pity. Notice he says, I said, you are Elohim. Then there's a question mark. So he's asking them this question, already knowing this particular scripture. It recognizes him as I in the verse. I'm going to pull it up real quick here. I'm just going to pull up verse 6. Verse 6 reads, I said, you are Elohim, who are mighty ones, and all of you are Banim of Elyon. But you shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. So they're not following any of those terms there. Okay. As I mentioned, the verse reads, it says, I said you were Elohim. As the ox or the head of the cattle, he uses a verse of preeminence to show his superiority. And this was before their eyes, their understanding, their mental and spiritual understanding of Scripture. It came before their time. They didn't understand this verse was written for this time. It was before they came along as one of the nations. You shall not eat of it. They didn't eat of it. They didn't abide by it either. So I'm going to read the whole thing here now. I'm going to read the whole thing here now. This verse was written before them, but it was written to make a point. It was a psalm of Asaph. Asaph means the gatherer. He's gathering the people. Elohim stands in the Adah. This is the word that we get from where the word adut comes. The adut of the mighty. He judges among the Elohim, the mighty ones. How long will you judge unjustly? You, the people that are sitting teaching, these are the judges here. They're judging unjustly and show partiality to the wicked. He says, defend the poor and the fatherless, do justice to the afflicted and needy, and deliver the poor and needy. Free them from the hand of the wicked. From the people changing the scriptures with all these footnotes and foreign names. Freedom from that. He goes on to say, they do not know, nor do they understand. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are unstable. They keep shifting. People always have something different to call Elohim. They're believing somehow it is the same. It's not. It's darkness. They don't understand. Then here comes the verse. I said, you are Elohim. They're mighty ones. All of you are Banim. You're all Banim of Elyon. But you shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. And so this last verse sums it up. It says, arise, Elohim, and judge the earth, for you shall inherit all nations. Here the Gentiles, or the Go'i, were having their turn in the scripture, and this was written before their time, their spiritual understanding. So they were foretold to come in and take over, and everybody's getting their chance at trying to get this thing so they can have salvation. Y'all's trying to save everybody, and nobody's following the protocol. So the word declares, your donkey shall be violently taken away from before you, and shall not be restored to you. To which he declares, if he call them Elohim, to whom the word of Elohim came, and the scripture cannot be broken. Here the word donkey is chamor. H2543 is an ass. In this case, a dumbass. The verb means to be troubled and be in turmoil. Your donkey or your dumbass shall be violently taken away from before you, seized, plundered, robbed, and torn away. It's the understanding there. This is seen when he says, if he called them Elohim, to whom the word of Elohim came, this is indicating that they are not the ones the word was given to. Notice it says he called, it says he called them, the original people to whom the word of Elohim came. This is seen as plundered and taken away from the Utah. The word says above, they were not going to eat of it. These are the ones Yahushua is talking to in the verse. Violently, very strong and powerful. It also says, and shall not be restored to you. This is seen when it says in parentheses, and the scripture cannot be broken. So that pretty much sealed it for them right there. With that. All this also literally came to pass. When the Romans came and tore everything down, those people were taken away, and since then, some new ones have come along. Your sheep shall be given to your enemies, and you shall have no one to rescue them. So he continues here. It's a continuation. Do you say of him whom Ab set apart and sent into the world, you are blaspheming because I said, I am the Ben of Yahuwah? Yahushua here is the sheep. The word for sheep sowing is from an unused root meaning to migrate. Your sheep, they shall be given to your enemies. The sheep in the verse migrate right there to the enemies. This is seen also when it says, and do you say of him whom Ab set apart and sent into the world, you are blaspheming. Okay, he migrates there from set apart to blasphemy. He was set apart, kadosh, in every way by Ab, but particularly by name. He never identified himself as the Ben of Elohim. They did. That's why he referenced that verse. That was in the footnote. He was set apart by the great name of Yahuwah, not by Elohim. He was set apart in the way that he taught and in the doing of miracles. No doubt he was sent. He came from Yahuwah and came into the world as a sheep, a lamb in particular. And they see both what he did and him as blasphemous. This is also called being given over to the enemy. In the line above, he was the sheep and they saw him as an enemy and treated him as such by using the word blasphemy to describe him. A word known in religious circles as a term describing enemies and speaking sacrilegiously about what is universally accepted by the established religious world order as sacred. He was that sheep that was set apart and sent into the world to set the record straight. However, their sheep, on the other hand, all who would have believed in him, if it weren't for those religious leaders, they saw him as a blasphemer as well, led the people astray, given over to an enemy that they themselves created. The enemy was within. This is why the verse continues, and you shall have no one to rescue them. This is seen when he said, because I said, I am the Ben of Yahuwah. That's what he said. I am the Ben of Yahuwah. So once you reject the great name of Yahuwah, you can forget about being saved, rescued, helped out, or otherwise delivered from any moral victories or torment after death by Yahuwah. Remember, he raised up Pharaoh to be highly successful in Mitzrayim for the purpose of demonstrating his power. And then he raised up his people to come against that blasphemous world order at that time. And we all know what happened to them. They didn't make it through those waters. And besides that, who goes around forsaking his own name? He said his name was Yahushua. Devarim chapter 28, verse 32 will line up with Yochanan chapter 10, beginning in verse 37. Your sons and daughters shall be given to another people. If I do not do the works of my Ab, do not believe me. Look at the survey on this line here. The word for son there, Ben 11:21 is a male child. The root means to build, to establish, and cause to continue. And your daughters, that word there for bat is a female child. It is used of a polite address and a description of character or personification. They're going to be given over to another people. To which Yahushua replies, if I do not do the works, this is seen as the ben, or the building he established. The works. He built on them. The word for ben there, bana, means to build. That's what the verb means. There were by this time multiple works done. Of Ma'ab, this is seen as the female here, the polite address and description of character, the personification of him. Ma'ab, this is the polite address of an Hebrew male ancestor. Then he says, do not believe me. If that's the case, disbelief is seen here as being given over to another people. Your eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all day long. But if I do, though you do not believe me, believe the works, that you may know and believe that Ab is in me and I in him. So as we survey these lines here, your eyes, the iron, H5869, this is the eye showing mental and spiritual qualities. It's obvious with the eye there. This is talking about Yahushua, getting ready to show some mental and spiritual qualities. But if I do, your eyes shall look. This is seen as the rest of the if part of the verse when he says, but if I do, though you do not believe me. So we have to look at it. We have to look at it because he's done some works that were not getting recognized. If I do, he's already done them. The word here for look is ra'ah. The word here for look is ra'ah. As we go on, your eyes shall look. Okay, let me pull this up here real quick. Okay, H7200, that word for ra'ah means to look at and inspect, to learn and give attention to. So the word is drawing attention to something that is pointing out, and it has to do with this footnote in the survey on the lines. It's always warning when there's something going on here that's wrong. Where it's pointing right out, and it has to do with this footnote. So let's take a look and see what's going on as the word has instructed us to look. So I'm going to put the footnote on the screen. The NU text reads understand. So they don't want to believe here, they want to understand. So let's look at this thing here some more. All right, so I'm going to put this verse on the screen. I'm just going to pull up the part, the verse, and discrepancy here so that you know and believe. This is in the Texas Receptus here on the top, and we see the word believe there. It is G4100. That's the assigned number in the concordance. It means to believe, to think to be true, to be persuaded of, to credit, and put confidence in, to be believed. Okay, that's in the Texas Receptus. This is what the NU put in. The NU put these people here put some stuff up in here. The word for understand here is what they put in there. So we see everything identifies except this word here for understand. And we see the word over here for believe. We looked at believe. Now the word for understand, G 1097, is gnosko, and it means to learn, to come to know, to get to know, and to perceive. This is used as the word for know. That is right before the word for believed, right here in the survey lines. So we see it down here, know and believe. Those two right there. The two are together. The NU, or the new understanding in Christianity, wants you to believe, it reads, so that you may know and know, which makes no sense at all. They're just trying to get with some type of program. You hear them preach it all the time. You know that you know that you know that you know. You know, they're not believing anything. It's a head knowledge. And millions of Christian teachers around the world are teaching this basically flawed, scripture comprehension here, following this teaching as well. Yahuwah knows this, and that's why Yahushua says in the survey line, though you do not believe me. He's talking right to the change they made by putting the word understand there. He knew they were going to do it. Of course, they didn't believe him, and that's why they changed it and put the word understand there. So how powerful is the word of Yahuwah to line up this way? Witnessing for itself. So this is some awesome stuff here. We never knew. They rebelled against him then, and it shows up right here in time for the adduct as a witness. Just in time for judgment. Let's look at some more here. To understand in the dictionary means to interpret or view something in a particular way. To be sympathetically or knowledgeably aware of the character or nature of something or someone. To perceive the significance, explanation, or cause of something. So understanding is a head knowledge. He gave them plenty of stuff to know that they had not known before. Yahushua was trying to get them to believe. This is something that occurs in the heart. The definition of believe means to accept something as true and feel sure of the truth. This is an emotion. To accept the statement of someone as true and feel sure that someone is capable of a particular action. They understood everything he was saying. They just didn't believe who he said he was. They didn't feel like that mattered. They didn't believe it. That's why they changed his name. They don't believe in him. They don't feel right in their heart to even say it. Again, flawed scripture comprehension. This is seen as failing. They're not going to pass through those waters to get to everlasting life. Unsuccessful in achieving that goal. As we continue in the survey line above there, shall look and fail. This is seen as failing here. That's what they're doing. And fail with longing for them. as we continue in this top line of survey, this is seen when he says, believe the works that you may know and believe. The works are also seen as them in the survey. They were never done before. And that should have been the main reason to believe. They should have longed for that or had a desire to see some type of work done that would validate his claims, which he did. They failed in that longing, failed again. Or as it is written, failed with longing for them. They kept on failing. They had no regard for the works he did and was doing among them. And this was all day long. All day long. This is seen as an extension of the works of them, by the one who he said sent him. Seen in what he kept telling them, that Ab is in me and I in him. They know who Ab is. They were told several times. They didn't long for him because it didn't fit the established world order during that time. Doesn't do it here either. They kept trying to make a spiritual slave out of him. Much like it is today. They don't want to hear Yahushua, Elohim, Ab, or anything written in the Hebrew that is truth. These people have changed the scripture in some very deadly ways to sway millions into deception. And this is coming from a Christian branch of people who so far has had no understanding of anything going on in scripture at all. And they had the nerve to put understand in a place of judgment. So you can understand as they do. And that is how to stay lost and never see the light of truth or the everlasting light. So it's lights out for them. They ain't make it. Not going to make it. And there shall be no strength in your hand. Therefore they sought again to seize him, but he escaped out of their hand. How powerful is the word of Yahuwah there. He was mentally and spiritually and physically too strong for them. Yeah, they couldn't handle him. No strength in the hand. If it was here in our time, it might have been shot. You know, since those were the authorities he was dealing with. But from here, this is seen as a loss of power also spiritually. No strength in the hand, the yod, in the technical sense of the definition for H30:27. They were doomed because of disbelief. Moreover, Yahushua has escaped out of their hand in the written account. They don't even write it. Most likely can't even spell it. That's why they got all those false names. Escaped out of their hands again. Devarim chapter 28, verse 33. Will line up with Yochanan chapter 10, beginning in verse 40. A nation whom you have not known shall eat the fruit of your land. And he went away again beyond the Jordan to the place where Yochanan was immersing at first, and there he stayed. This word for nation is Am. H5971 is a nation of people, countrymen, or kinsmen. These are some more of the seed of Abraham. The verb means to grow dark, to dim, or eclipse. Whom you have not known. H3045, Yada, used here means to know, to be made known, and to become known, to be revealed, and to reveal oneself. All of this. This is seen when he went away to a place beyond the Jordan. That's where these people are. He left the Utah and went somewhere on the other side of the Jordan River. That word Jordan means descender. The verb means to come down of revelation. These are some people who have not known. He had not revealed himself as he did to the Utah. They're going to eat the fruit of your land. They shall eat the fruit here, peri, the produce of the ground. It's figuratively used of actions. The verb means to be fruitful and branch off. The fruit of the land, Adamah. Here we have the soul here, H127, is the land seen as ground, tilled, and yielding sustenance. The verb is Adam, 119. It is red or reddened, symbolizing the blood here. This is the soul, the body having returned to the earth, where the blood, which is the life of the body, cries out to Yahuwah from the ground. This is seen, as I mentioned, as the soul. The life of the flesh is in the blood. The fruit of the land, Adamah, rising. This is seen where Yochanan was first immersing here. It was beyond the Jordan. The verb yarad means to take down. This is what immersing is. It is taking someone down in the water, a dipping in the water, and then rising back up in order to cleanse the soul. This is seen as fruit that is favored by Yahuwah. The meaning of Yochanan here, favored of Yahuwah. Immersing cleanses the soul. And that's when you know true believers. They want to get immersed, to get things right. This is known as eating the fruit of the land. Eating the fruit of the land. And there he stayed. And so there we go to meet him. It's at the immersions. And the produce of your labor. Then many came to him and said, Yochanan performed no sign. But all the things that Yochanan spoke about this man were true. Here we see the produce of your labors. The produce is the fruit of it here. The word peri, again, is used figuratively of actions, of the labor. The verb means to be fruitful and branch off. This is seen when it says, many came to him. They were branching off and bearing fruit. The produce of your labor. That word for labor is yagia. H3021 is work or product as a result of work. The verb means to grow weary, to labor, and be weary. This is seen in the word as it says, Yochanan performed no sign, but all the things that Yochanan spoke about this man were true. They wore it out. It was made weary. This was the produce from his labor, the things he had done, because they were eating the fruit of the land, belief. This was spiritual because of the speaking. Everything Yochanan spoke about this man were true. They wore it out. And you shall be only oppressed and crushed continually. And many believed in him there. That word for oppressed, asach, H6231, means to be exploited. They were wearing it out. It is the second definition in the concordance there, under oppress. And that word for crush there is ratzatz, and it means to crush and oppress. Oppress, according to the definition, means to cause someone to feel distressed, anxious, or uncomfortable. This is what happened because many believed in him there. Many believed in him there, seen in the survey line. So he had nothing on one side of the river and too much on the other. However, too much can be seen here as the favor of Yahuwah. That's why Yochanan was in the verse. So to those of you who want to get immersed, continue to educate yourself in the covenant and hold on, because favor is coming your way. Thank you so much for watching with us here at Sarid. As you saw, the great house built by the ancient people is still being used by Yahuwah Elohim to try to get as many people saved as he can through his Ben Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach. So thankful for him. And this can only happen if we follow the guidelines laid out in the Torah. You don't get to make the rules for yourself. He has established one rule for everyone. So the appointed times are very important to know the way. So count the Omer and learn and teach the ancient paths. Shabbat Shalom. Yisra'al. See you later.